10% of all the new cars sold in Iowa come from the Carl Auto Group. Our neighbors trust us to have the largest selection and the highest standards. To our current customers, thank you. And to our future customers, see for yourself why Carl drives Iowa.
Your dealer for life, it's the Carl way.
I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans.
And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field.
Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum, from the Wild Rose Casino Studio. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne, on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What is up? It is Wednesday, the 11th of June. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network. Digging into football today. Camp's going on up in Ames. A lot of recruiting this time of year. He is Brent Blum. My name is Chris Williams. We are presented, as always, by our friends at the Mechdyne Corporation, and they are looking to hire right now marketing people here in the great state of Iowa. Go to Mechdyne.com and check out that job board today if you are interested in a new career, new job, whatever. Great company that Blum and I will both vouch for. Good people up there.
100%.
How are you today, Brent?
I'm great. Just got back from Ames. Checked out a little basketball workout this morning, C-Dub.
Nice. How's the team look?
They were doing like NBA combine drills, just testing numbers basically with Pete, Coach Link. So they're not in practice mode yet. They're just getting warmed up. But the freshmen are there, which is great.
How'd they look?
I mean, I literally was up there for 5 minutes doing something, but they looked as advertised.
Are we going to the Final Four?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just saying, don't give us that tease without a little bit of the juice.
Xavier Mitchell was bigger than anticipated from looking at him. Yeah, he was. I mean, he's a legit as he's listed there. So
nice prospect right there.
He really now he's going to be. I'd say he's more of the long-term play than Bateman, who's going to play right away.
Well, these guys who don't play guard are at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's just hard.
If you're a freshman.
Xavier's 6'7", 220, but he looked 6'7", 220. Like, sometimes you wonder.
Yeah.
But that was encouraging, and I think, he could be one of those guys that's like, we'll see if he has an impact this year, but long-term he's going to have a big impact. He's got a lot of offensive ability. It's just, is he physical enough yet for this league? And I think that'll be the question for him. But look good. Killian Torrey looks the part. I'll say that too.
Man, they can't say enough good stuff about that kid.
Yeah, he's here. So again, the honestly, when you're dealing with international kids in this current non-political climate, I mean, I'm not trying to be political here. Getting them here is a good thing.
It sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it was not. I mean, I would say it wasn't a question necessarily, but it wasn't a guarantee either. But so both Torrey and Plata are either here or on their way, and both got their visas and they're good to go.
Big international.
Did you hear, by the way, this
program?
So, for all that think that sometimes Iowa State doesn't get breaks via the NCAA, the Dom Plata thing is crazy. I heard this from a pretty good source. Plata got 4 years. He's going to be a freshman this year. This is the German big guy.
Yep.
Somebody in the NCAA,
which is shocking,
right? Because it should be 3. Somebody in the NCAA screwed up. They clicked the wrong button for him, and based on a button click, he got a 4th year, and they
can't just take it back.
Apparently not.
That seems really stupid. That's the most NCAA thing ever,
isn't it? So
what if they would have gone the other way?
They said Iowa State, no, like, oh, our bad, but oh well, here you go, you get an extra year. So one of the rare Iowa State.
What are the chances
NCAA
that
victories.
kid is at Iowa State for 4 years? Like, it's so rare for anyone to be here for 4 years.
Potentially, but now C-Dub,
he could make more money there.
Right, he could be a 26-year-old senior at Iowa State because he's already 22,
making $1 million or whatever the hell it's going to look like at that point. You know,
for all that Iowa State, that remember way back in the day with Iowa State getting jobbed by eligibility stuff with Luka and CJ Bruton, all these things. Dom Plata got the correct button click for Iowa State.
Who was the guy who never made it? Ivan Cheriev.
The NBA needs Ivan Cheriev.
Ivan Cheriev and Bo Williams will forever be, and then Webster Patrick. Those are the three names.
Bo Williams, R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace, Bo.
Yeah.
All the OGs fanatics will remember those names because they were message board here. And then Norvell Pell.
Emmanuel Malou.
Yeah. And then what was the kid that went to Kansas that Hoiberg thought Diallo.
Oh, check Diallo. Yeah. Who did play in the NBA for?
Rashad Vaughn.
That
was a big thing.
We got to do a top 10 of almost Cyclones that were legends. Because you can do the easy ones. You can do the almost Cyclones like Glenn
I'm pretty
Rice.
sure like the Diallo thing, and I don't know all the specifics, but I know enough. He was never coming to Iowa State because he was caught up in that Adidas thing.
Oh, he was in the Kansas playing the NIL game before there was NIL.
Yeah, that kid was never going to a Nike school. Look from what the people have told me, he may have been telling Nike schools, "Yeah, I'll come and visit." But he didn't have a choice. He was going to an Adidas school.
But so I just want to let the record reflect. Iowa State got a win from the NCAA administration this summer.
Is there a bigger cesspool over the last 50 years than college basketball recruiting?
Nope. Is it going to be better or worse with this? I think at least it's cleaner.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the position to judge. Again, and I'm really trying hard, Brent, to be as optimistic as possible. And just,
sure.
But it's just, I've been, not me personally, but I've been failed so many times by this group of people. And I just, I don't necessarily trust them. But I also think that we're currently in a spot that's never been at before where their mere existence is on the line. So maybe they'll get cooler. So I hope it'll be cleaner.
Yeah.
But there's not a doubt in my mind. College football is dirty. College basketball is filthy because one player can make such an impact. So there will be cheating. How are they going to do it? I don't know, but they will cheat.
So just texting with some folks today, the biggest thing is there will be cheating, no question. Everyone who thinks, it's just, no, somebody's going to try and cheat. And then the question is, when they get caught, and somebody will get caught,
yes,
how heavy is the penalty? And it has to be stiff.
Yeah.
We can't just do a slap on the wrist. You got to SMU this thing, death penalty this thing, or else you're just going to get people to keep testing the waters and see what they can get away with. It's just the nature of it.
All right. We're going to do today, I got my trusty Athlon magazine.
Yeah, magazine time. Here we go.
Well, I still do a bunch of their writing for Big 12. And so they send me this. And to be honest, I don't really do the preseason magazine much anymore because of but it is kind of nice to get this in the mail. And you flip through it, and so I'm going to Florida next week on a little family vacation, and I plan to dive it because less than a month is Big 12 Football Media Day, and we're back in Dallas this year. We're done with the Big 10 is actually going to be in Vegas because they're doing so. We're out of Vegas, which we go to Vegas every year. For all I'm concerned, I truly enjoyed that. But anyways, I thought we could go through here and look at the Big 12 rankings. And then you also have what you found to be a Big 12 quarterbacks list. that we could go through as well, and just do a little. I just want to dive into. I'm over the business
football.
stuff.
Yeah, we're football
I want to
today,
talk
baby.
football.
I think the quarterbacks are fascinating because it's like, whew,
should we start there? I think that's more interesting than the
'cause
team list.
It will determine the team. It'll illustrate the team list because
let's start there.
I mean, obviously the Big 12 had some big names at the quarterback spot last year that left, but there's a lot back. And
So is Leavitt the unanimous number one guy?
yeah, I mean, I think consensus around the national publications would be him. And so actually, I looked at a couple of these lists. I thought the best one was from, is it Deseret.com out in Salt Lake City? They do a really good job of covering the Big 12, by the way, if you want to find another paper. But they ranked the top 16 quarterbacks, or all 16 quarterbacks in the league, and they have Leavitt at number one. Of course, Arizona State. Man, he was the second half of last year, C-Dub, he was as good as it got in the country. I really believe that. And Iowa State thought in the Big 12 championship game, maybe they could take away Scatterby, which they didn't do that either. But Leavitt made some really big throws in that game, and I was super impressed. Very athletic guy. Threw for 3,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, ran for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, I think the top 8 in the league are really good, but I think Leavitt's probably the consensus around the country based on Arizona State winning the Big 12, and he fared well also, C-Dub, in that playoff game against Texas, too.
Yeah, he did. And he came on really strong in the second half of that season. I can't argue that.
I'm not going to argue that. Number 2 for Deseret.com. This surprises me, but the numbers are really good last year. And we saw him in Ames, Sawyer Robertson for Baylor. So Robertson's getting some NFL love, actually, because he's a big kid. Threw for 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns.
That surprises me that he's number 2.
I agree.
I'm not down on him. That's a big compliment to him.
He is starting to get. I mean, there's some sneaky people who are going to pick Baylor in the top 4 this year because of Robertson. And the back half of his 24 season was really good. So also pretty athletic kid, ran well. He had the league's best QBR rating last year at 83.7. So analytically, he was really good last year, but Robertson at number 2. This list has Josh Hoover from TCU at number 3.
See, he's the guy getting a lot of love, and we did the rankings of toughness of the games, and
yes.
you were right, I was wrong. The more I've done, TCU is going to be a tougher game than most people probably. Iowa State could be an underdog in that game.
He and Rocco, all these top 4 guys all got major offers from other programs, and thankfully they all stayed, which was a big key for the Big 12, honestly, for this year. But
huge. This is a good quarterback list.
It really is. Hoover, 4,000 yards last year, C-Dub, 27 touchdowns. I mean, put up some big numbers. I think the question will be on their end. Some of the receivers are gone. They lost the big fella, the receiver, just like Iowa State lost a couple of receivers. Their guy's name was it Becht? Really, really big tight end receiver type. So, yeah, I think Hoover's right there with these top 4. Rocco at number 4, according to this list. We've talked about him a lot. Numbers last year, under 60% completion percentage. So you're right. That's got to get up closer to 65.
Yeah, that's the key. Especially if you're going to be rolling out more tight ends. I think Iowa State will. That completion percentage needs to go 5 to 10 points higher.
And then 3,500
10
yards.
would be tough, but...
25 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions. The problem was I think 6 of those were pick sixes for Rock.
Poor guy.
I think he's very under the radar nationally. There's actually a lot of love for him from NFL circles too. He'll have an interesting decision. I really believe that, C-Dub, because he's only a junior, Rocco. He's only a junior. I mean, he's been around for what feels like a long time, but he's going to have one of those, do you stick it out and stay another year at Iowa State next year, or do you try and test the waters? I think Rocco's potentially a top 4 NFL draft pick next year. But Rocco at number 4 on this Deseret.com list, which is great because Avery Johnson's number 5. And Avery, I've seen ranked as high as number 1 on some lists. Obviously, super athlete. Completion percentage only at 58%, though. And CW, he only ran for 600 yards last year. Now, you would assume, as good as he is, athletic as he is, it might have been more. But Avery Johnson at number 5, I still think his upside is really good.
I do too.
His question is efficiency. Again, we saw names, he threw a couple really baffling throws.
Would you take him or the Baylor guy?
It depends what I want. I mean,
yeah.
If it's pure NFL talent, Robertson.
I think I would take for a college program Johnson.
But maybe, to make a play Yeah, but Robertson's that's one of those that surprised me because you
could make me look stupid in 5 years.
It could.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys like, oh man, this guy's got some stuff. But Avery, very flashy. Number 6, a lot of people don't realize this. Utah went nuts in the portal. Completely
I'm looking
nuts.
at these portal quarterbacks, and they're all really tasty right now.
Yeah. So Utah was livid. They were pissed off, and they spent money like
Greatest thing ever watching them falter last year.
oh, it was great.
One of my all-time favorite sports moments was watching Utah die.
They are not. They're not happy at all over there, and they've got dollars.
Remember, they were just going to come in and dominate this conference, right?
So they went crazy,
and then on top of it, Arizona State wins, and they were picked last,
and they were picked last.
So that makes them even more mad. So awesome.
And so they fired their offensive coordinator, brought in the New Mexico offensive coordinator. Guess who the New Mexico?
They got the New Mexico quarterback,
and Devin Dampier, who again 2,800 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, but he ran last year for 1,200 yards. So this guy can really run it. Now,
so you got 2 of these guys because Colorado's guy is a dual threat dude as well, and he's really interesting because he comes from a really good program.
Right, and that is Caden Salter at Colorado from Liberty, who can really run it as well.
Liberty.
This list has him at 11, but
really all the way down there.
Yeah, but similar. I'd say similar to Dampier. They
remind me a lot of each other.
Yeah, what's that level up? But so Dion's got another quarterback there.
Where's the Houston kid? The A&M transfer.
They got him all the way down at 13.
No
so that's
kidding.
Connor Wegman, who is a former top 5 national quarterback.
He was like one of the big gets for A&M under Jimbo.
Yep. He was thought of as like maybe the best quarterback in the class, and now he just didn't do it.
Those guys are interesting, those retreads. We see this all the time in college football now. And sometimes they hit big.
Yep.
And sometimes they're just not very good.
They're just not good.
Yeah.
And he couldn't complete a pass at A&M. And now you wonder, 55% at A&M with that talent level. Oof, what is with Houston?
Got Willie Fritz though.
He does have Willie Fritz. I like Willie Fritz.
Friend of the program.
I went to that game in Houston last year. I have not seen in person a worse group of skilled receivers than what Houston had.
They were really bad.
They just didn't have a guy. They didn't have a
That was one of the worst offenses Iowa State's ever played.
It was bad.
Keep in mind that was when Iowa State was like really injured on defense too.
Yeah, then did they shut them out? I mean,
it was like
4-0.
20, yeah, something like that.
Is that what it was? They lost some guys in the portal. I don't know what Houston's going to have to help Wegman out. So they have him way down there at 13. Baron Morton is number 7. He was impressive at times last year, getting through for 3,300 yards. He can be really good. He can be spacey, though. And I think Tech's the fascinating case study. They're going to be picked to win the league by some. Arizona State's going to be picked to win the league by some. I'd say their quarterback spot with Morton's maybe the most questionable position group they have at Tech. Because they loaded up everywhere else.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the NFL is how I look at it, where they spent money everywhere except quarterback.
Yes.
Which will be because if Morton gets hurt, will be really fascinating there.
Yeah,
but as everybody knows, though, if you're loaded everywhere else, I mean, that's how a guy like, like Sam Darnold could lead. Like when you have Justin Jefferson and like a great system and you've got good players around you. So the Tech is not picked to win by Athlon, but the Athlon's pick will surprise you. We can get to that whenever. I'll let you do the rest of your list.
Let's do that. Let's just run through these bottom guys here. Jake Retzloff at BYU going through some legal stuff right now. Had a nice year last year, though. 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. Really came on towards the end of last year. BYU's going to be a popular top half pick. Who knows what happens with that guy? Right now, he is still on the team. It's a civil lawsuit, not a legal or not a criminal lawsuit, which might help his cause. Again, I don't mean to be in legal land here.
No, we don't know, but we can guess.
He is still on the team.
We're just talking football here.
He is still planning to be the quarterback for BYU this year.
Which is a really huge story in the league.
Absolutely.
People forget that they were undefeated
until November.
Yeah.
Number 9.
If they're undefeated going into the Big 12 championship game against Iowa State, you might have 2 playoff teams.
They could have got
potentially. Yeah, them with one lot. A really interesting part. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I apologize.
Yeah, you're good.
But the where do you lose is going to be massive as this thing continues to grow. As far as like where in the season.
Yeah,
because
you're
like
better off losing early.
BYU, if they would have lost that game in September, they probably would have made the playoff.
Yep.
Even if they wouldn't have played in the Big 12, I think they would have been in the playoff.
When you lose is sometimes more important than who you lose to.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Number 9, our good buddy Jalen Daniels is back. All the way down at number 9.
I mean, that guy, we are skewed because he just torches Iowa State.
Every single time.
That guy looks like the first pick in the draft when he plays the Cyclones. I don't like that game. Do we play them?
Yeah.
That game, guys, everybody knows that I'm like John Haycock's biggest fan, PR man, supporter. Wait till you read the chapters in my book about Haycock, okay? Like the insight on the change of the defense and all. It's my favorite part of it. But Leipold has his number.
Oh.
Like that Kansas team. Now, last year is very skewed because of all those injuries, right?
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State.
But Iowa State's lost 3 in a row to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the other part of last year's game, Dom Orange didn't play in that game either.
Correct. Come on. They were in like, Verdon got hurt.
Yeah, right, the first series.
You were in like your 6th-string linebackers at that point. The fact that Iowa State even had a chance at the end was really kind of incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so again, like a little bit skewed, but if you just watch Daniels against Iowa State, you'll be like, man, that's Baker Mayfield out there.
He was running, throwing.
That's Robert Griffin III.
He hit that one slant, like the first drive was like a 55-yard bomb on the money, and now the guy was wide open.
Yeah.
But still, at number 9, but to me, C-Dub, that shows that the depth of quarterback play is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree.
And the other
that's
one,
shocking that he's that low.
Yeah, and then at number 10, Brendan Sorsby at Cincinnati. Sorsby got all sorts of offers from bigger schools this past offseason and stuck to Cincinnati a lot like, the Hoovers and the Becks at Iowa State. 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, ran it for 500 yards. I mean, he's a nice player, Sorsby at Cincinnati. They're one of those teams that's like, I don't know what to expect from them. I think they got better last year. They're going to need Sorsby to be really good. That's another team seat up. I just don't know what they have at the skill positions. I really don't. They're going to say the same thing about Iowa State now, too, though. After losing Knoll and Higgins, so I understand that. But Sorsby and Cincinnati, an interesting pick.
I think Iowa State has something up its sleeve. I mean, I think you're looking at more of a ball control is not the right. Taylor would destroy me if he heard me say that out loud. But I think Iowa State's defense has a lot more sure things than the offense. I think that you are looking at more tight ends. I think you have really good running backs. They think their line is better. Like, to me, this feels like a stretch the game out, let your defense, and then use your really high percentage quarterback, assuming Rocco can get that completion percent. That's the way I feel this season's going to go, but we'll see. Mauser would kill me if he heard me say that.
Well, one thing to keep in mind, I think they're going to use Townsend a lot more in the run game than they did at Jalen Knoll, too, by the way.
Well, I did find it interesting. Again, this is just Athlon. But they ranked their top transfers in the Big 12, and Chase is 5th.
Sowell.
Sowell? Sowell.
I think it's Sowell.
Damn it, Walters is going to kill us.
Come on, Walter.
John, I'm going to print off your list. I promise, John. I'm sorry.
We'll get
Godfather,
it right, guys.
I let you down. There's nothing worse than when the Godfather is disappointed in you.
Yeah,
It's only happened a couple of times in my career, but when it happens, it's like the single worst feeling. I can't even put it into words.
Reminds me of the time in 6th grade. It was my favorite teacher, Mr. Holst at Sacred Heart Elementary in West Des Moines, and I put the decimal point in the wrong spot, and he gave me that look like,
you son of a bitch.
You can't be trusted anymore. Like, I was the model student, and I put and I still to this day remember I put that decimal point in the wrong place. I'm sorry, John.
Model students, real quick. I bet you that our guy Jeff Wood was a model student.
No doubt.
GravitateCoworking.com.
Iowa State grad, by the way, Jeff Wood.
Get the hell out of your home office. You're not being productive there. I promise. You're just not. GravitateCoworking.com. Also want to thank, who is very productive is our buddy Jeff Kelderman. Want to thank him. Kelderman Manufacturing. He's working on some new Cyclone Fanatic metal signs for our studio.
Here we go.
Did you know you haven't been in here in a while. I used our friends at Centurion Stone, and I put thin brick on 2 walls of the studio now.
No, there we go.
So we're going to have like a little second set to do these interviews and stuff like that. It's going to be really cool.
You're like a modern day Oprah.
Yes, that's exactly with a fraction of the money.
Number 11, we already talked about him, Caden Salter at Colorado. That's the Liberty transfer. We'll see what Dion can do with him. Number 12, Noah Fafita at Arizona.
Crazy.
A year ago, he was picked in the top 3 for quarterbacks.
Well, and a year ago, like the stories were how much money they had to pay to keep him there after the coaching change, and how he was like one of the top transfer prospects in the country when, what was his name, Fish?
Yeah.
Went to Washington.
Yep. He almost brought him with him.
So, I mean, again, I think that's another sign of how deep the quarterbacks are in this league and why schedule-wise, like across the board, this Big 12 is pretty tough. You got to look to see who plays. I mean, Arizona can jump up and bite you with that guy at quarterback.
I don't know. Yeah, he's good.
You know who might end up solving this league? The combination of Houston, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Arizona, and UCF, like which of those teams is better than we think they're going to be?
Totally.
And the ones that aren't, like whose schedule is favorable, right? Like what? I have no idea with this league. All right, finish the quarterbacks.
Yeah, quarterbacks. Wegman from Houston at 13.
Which again, like that's a 5-star guy, 13th.
Mm-hmm. And then the last 3, I'm going to call the hodgepodge group.
Okay.
West Virginia's got 3 guys.
No clue.
Jalen Henderson, who was at A&M last year. Nico Marichal, who had a cup of coffee with West Virginia last year. Max Brown, who was at Charlotte. They're rolling the dice with any of those guys. Don't know. UCF's got a situation similar. They've got Cam Fancher, who was at Florida Atlantic last year. They've got Taven Jackson, who was at Indiana last year. And then Ja'Curry Brown, who was the guy that started the Iowa State game. Remember,
that guy.
Throw.
Yeah, he
couldn't throw, but he can run now.
Yeah. Hey, do you know who their D coordinator is?
At UCF? No.
Alex Grinch, back in the Big 12.
Is he really? Did he take a year off?
Yeah, he's back in. He's with Frost. That guy will not go away. And here comes the stupid storyline. Oh, him and Campbell.
Grinch is back. Grinch is back.
Coach together.
And then the other group that has a question mark is Oklahoma State. This is a program I have no idea what to make of. I just don't.
Well,
they've got Haas Hedgeny, who was at TCU last year and didn't play, or Zane Flores, who didn't play either last year.
Just confirming something. Do you know who their offensive coordinator is? Have you looked into that?
Oklahoma State?
Yeah, they have a new one.
No idea.
Well, he's an old. Okay, yeah, I knew this name before. Doug Meacham. So he's been in the Big 12
guy,
a lot.
The old Kansas guy, yeah.
He was at Houston back when they were good. I want to say that was even Bryles Houston. Maybe I'm not positive, but that's a guy who.
God, that guy's been.
He's old. Yeah,
he's old too.
This guy is. Well, he's 60, but for a coordinator hopping around.
That's a Mike Gundy. Nobody else wants to work for me.
Mike Gundy has been through more offensive coordinators.
No,
which should like
coordinator. That's the problem.
Well, what's interesting about them, it's like you keep waiting for the bounce back, but maybe he's out of gas. I mean, maybe the game passed him by.
And honestly, Doug Meacham as your coordinator, oof. Yeah, that again, 15 years ago would have been a great hire, but that just seems like a retread to me. And then with their quarterback situation, I have no idea what to make of that.
It feels like Gundy doing a solid for an old friend and hey, just come and support me.
Well, and remember, he about got fired, Gundy. Like he had to basically reduce his salary.
Which is kind of ironic because that's the guy who every year has had his name on a coaching list. Or if not him, his agent.
And he leveraged the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And now he had to leverage himself to stay.
Yeah, he had to take less money.
But
it was a standoff. Please don't forget the terminology there. Standoff.
So only thing I like about this new era, and there's going to be a lot of people who in the athletic department who don't like, and coaching staff. But I love the fact that we've taken a little bit of power away from these coaches.
There's no question.
I love that.
We'll see how. Yeah, will they have the same? I don't think so. I mean, when you got to pay your players now, the coaches will still get paid. Again, no one's taking a pay cut.
Yeah, but they're not going to have these lopsided contracts. No, that's the problem.
They will not.
It's always been like, oh well, if I leave, I have to pay you $1.5 million. If you fire me, you have to pay me $30. Well, whoa.
Why? Yeah. It's this. That's a great point. That'll even out over time. And then honestly, C-Dub, I think these coaching staffs will get reduced too. Like you can't have.
They have to.
You can't have 30 just people around just that you're not like. Just look at the NFL staff. They're not nearly that big.
Yeah, they don't have 15 quality control guys
like that. Yeah, I mean, these things will even out. Now you can't just fire people overnight, but it's gonna the resources have to be shifted, and I think that's the other part of this coin that programs will do. It won't get the notoriety of the revenue generation side, but that's part of it.
Cyclone Fanatic podcast, Williams and Blum on your Wednesday. It's like 90 out today in the state of Iowa. If you're not here, I want to thank our friends at the Iowa State University Foundation. MoveWhatMatters.com is where you can find them online, and you can make a gift anywhere you want on campus. I will be at CY Stevens all weekend long for dance recitals.
Good luck.
I'm getting on stage. I'm boogieing.
How are your moves?
Elise told me I was the worst one.
Okay. Well, the good
Not
news
kidding.
is
her words.
Nobody's looking at you, pal. Well, maybe somebody. If you're really bad, maybe they will actually. So,
Elise literally said you are the worst one.
Well, aim for average, C-Dub, just like we do on this podcast.
Yeah, you lower your standards, you up your average.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go through the team predictions. And this is so I think it's really hard to just list 1 through 16. Like this is a chore. Because to properly do this, you're going to need some schedule analysis, all that stuff. I also think there's a few caveats I would like to point out. Just because Texas Tech spent all this money doesn't mean that they're going to win the championship.
No, for sure. Yeah.
It might hurt them in my mind, but we'll get to that. Athlon has Kansas State winning the league.
Okay. I don't think they'll be picked to win it, but they might. I mean, they were ranked. Weren't they ranked in the
I got to do my poll.
Yeah, Again, I'm not arguing with this because nobody knows. Arizona State was picked last year. They won the thing. So it's I'm not going to get out here and be on my stump, but
I do think we should limit the amount of voters for these polls if we want it to be taken serious. Everyone who attends Media Day should not get a ballot.
Vote. No, I agree.
That's just it's blasphemy because it's so hard. I've explained this a lot. Is like a guy who tries to analyze these things on it's I'm just being honest with you guys. You can try and watch everything and read it. It's impossible to know with all the player movement until you see these teams on the field.
Yeah, K-State 21 on FPI. Thank you, Aiden, in the background. So they were the highest Big 12 team by FPI. Again, I think when I'm ranking these, CW, you got to look at the last 5 years, who's been the most consistent. And I think K-State and Iowa State have been the most consistent in the league over the last 5 years.
No doubt.
But Iowa State did have that year where they went 3-9 too. So it's just K-State hasn't had a year like that.
Iowa State would have been 6-6 that year to see where their FPI stuff would be.
I know. You're right. That's the problem is that formula they have is just so
it's dated.
Weird.
Nothing that happened 3 years ago matters anymore. There's not that much carryover with these rosters.
I think that FPI is too much historical data within that. And again, a lot of it's just efficiency stuff from last year, but I don't know. I don't see how K-State's 21 and Iowa State was 45 in that thing. I just don't see it.
Arizona State 2.
Okay, they got to be in the top 3. They just have.
I don't know how you leave them out.
Yeah.
They got a star head coach. They got a proven quarterback. Now, Scattaboo, considered by many to be a generational type player, he's gone. So how many games did Scattaboo just put on his back?
Great point. And I don't know all their numbers. I think they got a decent amount of returners, but that's not like that defense was gangbusters anyway.
They have Texas Tech 3.
Okay.
Which, again, I won't argue that.
Yeah,
I'm not in a position to do that. But I think, like, look at, like Florida State last year was supposed to be – they were ranked in the top 10 coming off of that, getting snubbed, that whole thing. And they were just a disaster.
Just a complete – and then when it breaks apart with some of those – mercenary type teams, the whole thing can bust apart because those guys are getting paid regardless.
Do we like McGuire? I kind of do.
I mean, he clearly
but
is.
But they have 2 new coordinators too.
He's a player's coach. He recruits great. I was impressed honestly with their game management in Ames. I thought they did a great job of handling that game, but he hasn't proven it to the same extent that Campbell and Kleiman have yet. I think that's fair to say.
And again, I'll point out the 2 new coordinators. So it's like clearly
they're going to have.
They have a lot. They should be a lot better in November than they are in September.
Fair, but they're going to have a lot of pressure too. I mean, not only do they get a bunch of new players, they bragged about it.
Well, let's just make this our Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment then, because we wanted to talk about Texas Tech and plant your independence, plant Wiffles. Corn only with our friends at Wiffles, by the way. Corn only.
Family owned.
So, yeah, I mean, the number somebody threw out this week that they've spent $55 million on a football roster.
I think it was all sports, by the way. But
all sports. Okay. Regardless. So let's just assume
that's $40 million from football, though.
Okay. In theory, is anyone else spending that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So in theory,
they're double anybody else in the Big 12. Double.
Did they spend it well, or was this a situation of, hey, we're going to double up like what you've been talking about before the House settlement thing? And they just went crazy.
They went crazy because they had it. Now, I think this is why I wanted to talk about this. They won't be able to do this next year. Because what they did, that number seems huge. It's like, whoa, $55 million. They took the 20.5 from the school, okay, from the rev share. They got $35 million from their collective, but it was all front loaded, and that money has already been has to be spent by July 1. They won't be able to do the same thing of just spending $35 million from a donor next year. It's going to have to be fair market value NIL. Now, can they piece together $35 million in actual NIL? It might be tough. So this will be the last hurrah of just completely buying a team. Now the morph will be to get actual NIL, and so all these groups are just basically building up their teams to find actual NIL. But that number, in my opinion, will have to go down next year. I don't see a way in any capacity they can find $35 million in actual NIL. I don't think anybody can. But on that same point, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win. Now, they're going to be they've got talent. Their offense and defensive lines are like monsters all across the board. Like, they literally invested really in the trenches. But I keep coming back, like, you still got Baron Morton there. And I know they got skill. But that guy can turn it over, and he can make mistakes, and let's see if they can handle it. And then when things go wrong, all the eyes of college football are going to be against you. It's just like people, enjoy when the Yankees lose or when, the big spenders lose. And they have not only raised a bunch of money, they've talked about how bodacious they've been about this. Mm-hmm. And so nobody's going to feel bad for Texas Tech when it goes sideways.
My favorite part of these preseason magazines, I would pick one up just to read these, is they have assistant coaches from across the league talk about the teams.
Yep.
I thought the Texas Tech one was interesting. I'll read this to you.
Okay.
This is from an opposing Big 12 assistant coach. They're better pretty much everywhere, obviously, but don't assume you can spin your way to a power conference championship in one cycle. Don't get me wrong. All of us would rather have an NIL collective that's throwing a ton of cash instead of the alternative, but there's still a lot of questions. Will Morton stay healthy? Yada, yada, yada. They were a classic Texas Tech defense last year, and that's not a compliment.
Yeah, that's true.
If they're not a double-digit win team this season, it will be considered a failure. It's hard to know if that's fair, but if spending like this is a smart long-term strategy. So again, there's skepticism, and I think these coaches know too. I'm positive Matt would tell us it's like, yeah, of course we would rather be able to go out and do the portal, but it also does make your life more difficult from a chemistry standpoint and from a culture standpoint and all that stuff when you do what they've done.
And then the fan investment too is like, you better win.
Yeah,
it gets hard. It's like,
talk to you about it.
Oh my gosh, like these guys feel it. I mean, the Iowa State men's basketball team is a good example last year, and that nowhere near the expectations for this Tech team. I mean, you when it doesn't go right, you feel pressure because you're not only living up to the actual win losses, but then people start saying, "Hey, you're overpaid," and that is a tough thing to handle for a young person.
Okay, so Iowa State is 4 in this list.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think Iowa State should be top 4, but I think 1 to like we've talked about, 1 to 6 are pretty even.
I'll read you what the assistant coach said to Iowa State.
Yes.
And this is always my favorite part of these magazines. They really could go to the Big 12 title game again. Rocco Becht is the real deal, and he'll be better this season if they can install those transfer receivers in. They did a great job in the portal, placing guys at need positions on offense, especially the ECU wide receiver. The backfield is solid, too. They're a dominant offense. They were really banged up at linebacker last year, and they're turning over a lot in the secondary. Defense is the area where they might slip from last season. They overachieved a little bit in 2024, but Matt Campbell is such a solid program builder that it's hard to think they'll slide much this year. He's been outspoken publicly about the state of the portal and NIL, but they're also doing a lot of work in that area. They're competing hard.
That was very nice
respectful
job. That was very respectful. I think that's
gave the NIL people a shout out. Congrats.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I actually disagree. I think the defense will be better.
Yeah, I get it. On first blush, you're losing Freeler, Purchase, Porter. That it looks hard, and you're getting a bunch of new guys in there. That said, I agree. I think the defense will be better. Did get some insights.
You still have John Tez at corner.
Yeah.
Now, who's the second one? But the frickin' linebackers in Dom Orange should be really good.
Yeah, I did some investigating for our listeners last week.
Love this.
So I was just asking around, say, hey, who's that other corner right now? And running with the ones to start with is Quentin Taylor. Quentin Taylor got the early.
Really?
Yes. Freshman from Florida, redshirt freshman. 6 foot, 195, rangy, athletic. So again, Quentin Taylor's there, Coffey's there, Trey Bell's there. I think Bell, like I hinted at last week, will play some corner, but he might play some safety too. So, but Taylor would be the odds-on early summer leader at that other spot.
Good insight. I mean, I knew he'd be in the mix. I don't think I would have put him number 1, though.
There you go.
All right, we'll get through this here quickly. Baylor at 5, BYU at 6, Utah at 7.
Yeah. Put him in a hat. Where's TCU?
9. Ooh. So Kansas at 8, TCU at 9, Colorado at 10.
See, the Colorado people are going to be upset about that. But I think they have to be. They're not.
Yeah, but they lost 2 really
generational talents.
Yeah. I just don't know how you could I don't feel like they've earned the right to be, like what Arizona State did. Like, because they lost a generational guy. But, and you could say like, oh, well, they were only good for 1 year. But I think there was like a aura of consistency within them, like on a week-to-week thing, where Colorado, it just felt like they were pulling rabbits out of hats a lot. And
that
and it was with
game.
those. Yeah. So, I don't know. I also tend to think that Dion is probably a better coach than what most casual fans actually think he is. Now, I don't know.
I think the coaching staff around him is actually pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like the actual in-game, like prep, they're probably better than what most fans want to believe.
Correct. I agree with that too.
Now, you start bringing there's a
lot
lot of unknown there.
Yep. I think they're appropriate at 10, but again, that's one of those. Colorado's one of those teams, just like pretty much everybody else, is like, well, I could see them in the top 4 too.
The bottom 6: Houston, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, and then it goes West Virginia, Arizona, UCF.
Yeah, I think those bottom three, again, it's not a coincidence those bottom three also have the biggest quarterback question, C-dubs. That's...
I mean, Arizona, who'd have thought that would be such a quarterback deal?
Well, and then losing McMillan is...
I mean, that's huge.
That he's the top 10 pick, like...
Yeah.
Oof. And he was... Literally... It was, to a point, though, it was to their detriment. They kind of Randy Moss that guy last year, where it's just like, just throw it to him, and nobody else could be a playmaker then. And then they just basically, if he wasn't performing, then they weren't going to do anything. I wonder if with another year of that coach, who I think is actually decent, some more continuity then, do they have a bounce back year? I think Arizona's another one of those programs like, yeah, we'll see.
They have 2 new coordinators.
Yep, again.
You know who their offensive coordinator is?
Nope.
Another old Big 12 guy. Seth Dagey.
Oh, okay. Yep. I watched him play. That's how old I am now.
Yep, that's my been working on the coordinators. That's what I've been working on, like who's new, who's not. Try and get that in my mind before July.
So Seth Dagey was the
Texas Tech
quarterback. Yeah.
I think he threw 5 touchdowns against Iowa State one year.
Well, he played, I do know this. He was the quarterback when Iowa State won down there in 2011.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of it. They had so many of those guys.
Yeah, you're thinking of Graham Harrell I don't know. They all seem to be coordinators now, though. Like Kingsbury, then Harrell, Dagey, and Leach. It's the Leach system, absolutely. But yeah, I think those bottom 4 should be there. I don't envision a world we have an Arizona State situation C-dub this year where it pick last and finish first. I don't see it with those bottom. I just don't see it with those bottom 4.
I guess the only one that wouldn't be shocking, well, it would be shocking. Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State's track record with Gundy, it's like, do they have one last bullet in the gun? But I don't know. I don't think that'll happen. I think I've sold my Gundy stock for the last time, which is tough for me, right? Yeah, I like Gundy for a long time, but it feels very Fran McCaffrey. Like a guy is so negative all the time. And even if you were like a Fran apologist over at Iowa, like you could just there was no energy anymore. It was all negative. And I feel like the first bad thing that happens to Oklahoma State this year, everybody's jumping off of that train.
Fran McCaffrey, that's the perfect example. He's going to need a 8-9 win season to make it to next year. I really believe that. Mm-hmm. And I think he's on his last. And the only reason he made it to this year is because there's that extra expenditure in NIL that they needed. They couldn't buy him out. Mm-hmm. I don't know what his contract status is, but I think you're right to sell that stock finally, and you've been doing it for a little bit. But
yeah, I started selling off shares about 3 years ago.
Now I don't see Oklahoma State leapfrogging much out of the top 8.
There's the magazine. Go buy it. I don't get any money if you buy it. It's a flat fee, by the way, very small one.
Hey, fun to talk about football.
It is again though. Like I like having this in my hand. Like there's something about getting the first preseason magazine that's exciting to me, especially this time of year. I know you got your golf coming up this weekend, but it's just like for a guy like me, all I have is my NASCAR and stuff, and like I don't like. I mean, I follow the Braves, but I don't like sit and watch baseball. Like there's nothing. I'm watching Clarinda Cardinals softball and NASCAR. Like I have nothing right now, so now I'm ready to. My juices are starting to flow a little bit. Let's go. Once basketball's over, it's like, all right, let's go.
Who's your U.S. Open golf pick?
I mean, you got to go Scheffler. He's the best player. I mean, come on.
I know.
That's a really boring take.
It's boring.
I haven't looked at give me the odds real quick. What are my odds?
Well, he's 275, which is crazy for the Open.
Terrible pick. Don't bet on that.
Don't do that. First, don't do it's. But it's the
guess the point spreads PGA edition.
It's the lowest odds for a golfer in the U.S. Open since I think Tiger in 2005.
Wow.
I mean it's what Scheffler's doing. I mean I'm not going to nerd out on golf here, but
it's incredible.
It's like high end. It's Tiger stuff from 2000.
It's the only person you can compare it to is the Tiger era.
The other highest odds are DeChambeau at 7-1, which I like. I mean, I think he's going to be in the mix. John Rahm at 12-1. Rory's at 14-1. Do not bet on Rory McIlroy, anybody.
John Rahm's always my guy.
I think Rahm. Rahm has made he's been in the top 10 every single live golf event.
Wow.
How about that?
That's the thing, man. Like, this split has really taken my oomph out of golf.
Totally. I get it. They need to fix that, but they're not.
They've done that in my other sport, is the sprint cars, you know?
Yeah.
They had the split in it, and like, I'm not nearly as into it anymore because it just, even if it's not, like, the golf guys will yell at me and be like, Scheffler's playing against better competition than Tiger did. Like, okay, fine. I don't even care. It's the perception of it. When you turn it on, you don't know half the people.
Yeah, that's why I like the majors, and maybe that's
the majors feel better now.
They do. It's almost like when it's almost like Major League Baseball when the AL and the NIL doesn't play. Like, it makes the majors feel bigger, which I don't think that was the intention here, because it really ruins the product for the other 50 weeks of the year, 48 weeks of the year. But this will be fun this week. Like, I'll be all over it. Don't bet on Rory. They took away his driver after the Masters because it failed inspection.
Really?
Well, this happened. So when those guys hit the ball so hard, C-Dub, that they basically shave off the face, and it becomes not playable anymore. It's not like he was cheating. It just happens over time. Well, he can't find a driver that fits which is crazy to me, like with all the advantages those guys have. When I can get one off,
nobody can make him the exact same driver.
I was thinking him not, but he has been. Ever since the Masters, they took away his driver, and he has not been the same, and he missed the cut by 10 shots last week. Don't bet on Rory.
Fade Rory.
Fade Rory.
All right, you heard it here first.
There you go.
He is Brent Blum. We are presented, as always, by our friends at Mechdyne. Go out and buy yourself a bottle of Cody Road Bourbon for the weekend, baby.
I've got, I'm going to go with Shane Lowry, though, if anybody wants to back me.
There you go. Give me Tom Kite.
Goofiest looking golf guy ever.
He's like the guy Lafferty Daniel from Happy Gilmore is teeing off against him in the first. Like, you should see My Neighbor the Accountant. Huge ass.
For you young people, look up Tom Kite. That guy's looked 70 years old for 50 years. He really has.
He was my guy back pre-Tiger.
He wore a goofy ass hat.
Tom Kite, man. Classy. Man, we've had Norvell Pell, Tom Kite, Yvonne Charlouve, Chiriev, Bo Williams. It's been a blast of the past here.
Here we go.
Hope you guys enjoyed this. This was
old school.
Top of the line Wednesday pod. All right, have a great weekend. We'll be back on Sunday.